There may be April showers, but anytime I get to do a live show with you, Anthony, I feel like I'm going to bloom.
I got nothing.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey everybody, welcome to the one and only No Vacancy Live. I'm glad to see you came back. I figured that was it for you. We were just done here. How are you today?
Good, Glenn. I saw you in California. You look wonderful.
Well, thank you. And you did as well. Thanks to the great folks over at AAHOA for allowing No Vacancy Live to be the official podcast of AAHOACon 2023. And Anthony, great job hosting that CEO panel. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was great. We had it was wonderful. And, it's great that we were the official podcaster of AAHOA. And I didn't do any podcasting.
Hey, that's official. Well, you were too busy doing other stuff. And
no,
honestly,
come on. Let's be honest. Glenn doesn't like me doing podcasting now from these conventions because I outshine him and he doesn't like it.
That is very true. The intimidation is real, people. Write your comments right now about how intimidated I am by His Majesty Anthony Melchiori. Anthony, one of the things is I got to do a lot of great short form videos while we were there. When we're at conferences, I'm trying this different strategy right now because all of you are leading busy lives. You're back at it. You're doing things. It was great. I got to talk to the one and only Tom Bodette of Motel 6.
I was really, dude, I almost called you and said, F you. I'm so upset.
I was really happy about that. But you got to hang out with our
invite me to that one.
But you got to hang out with our great friend Sarah Dandashi. So I feel like
I was very jealous when I saw that. How cool is that guy? He made a living over like one thing.
I know.
He's like Vanna White. He's like Vanna White.
He's been doing it 35 plus years. And Tom, if you ever want to look to retire, maybe you could pass the baton to me.
I wonder what that contract looks like.
I have no idea. I don't know, but I would love to be able to have a gig like that. Hey, any hotel brands out there? Maybe Red Roof guys. Maybe I could do something for you. We've got a red roof for you.
We'll leave the roof on for you. We'll leave the roof on for you.
All right. Anyway, thanks again to everybody at AAHOA. And today's, happenstance worked out perfectly, Anthony, because today we have a former chair of AAHOA on this very show right now. Also, not former, I'm getting the terminology, immediate past chair of the New Jersey Restaurant Association, where he served like 2.5 terms doing that. So this guy's all about giving back. Let's welcome to the show right now, Bhavesh Patel, principal at ADM Hotels, former chairman of AAHOA, immediate past chair, New Jersey Restaurant Association. Bhavesh, I feel like you have so many titles, we're not going to have time to get to content today.
I know. Just been busy the last couple of years. Great to be with you guys, Glenn and Anthony.
Yeah. All right, so my first question is, I'm going to get in trouble right away off the bat. I love AAHOA. I love all the people at AAHOA, but it is a big organization with a lot of people, a lot of owners, a lot of personalities. How did you manage that politically?
Well, at the end of the day, you just got to do one thing, right? It's all for the members, and that's what you do. You worry about the members and how you can help the members the best of your possibility. So that's what I focused on. It was all
what
about
was that
membership.
like, though? I mean, you had to have a lot of discipline. Yeah, Bhavesh, you had a lot you had to deal with in the sense that you were running your business while at the same time being an AAHOA board member is all consuming. For those of you out there who don't know how it works, you get elected as secretary and then you serve in different positions, secretary, treasurer, vice chair, and then chair. And then you're immediate past chair and you get to go on a vacation. But Bhavesh, I see it's kind of like the presidency. It ages people. It takes all of your time up. You're always on airplanes and stuff like that. How did you manage running a business while also caring for an association that was growing at during those 4 years?
It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's a full-time job.
I agree. It was a full-time job, but thank God I had my wife and my partners to take care of our businesses. So more or less, it was just we're a family-owned business company, And so my wife took care of a good amount of the hotel stuff, and then my partner stepped up as well. And so we got things done. We were able to buy a couple of assets during that time. We were able to sell off a couple of assets during that time. It worked out well.
Nice.
Did I see my family? No, I would only see my family probably on the weekends, and that's about it. Unless they had big sporting events or any other event, I would tell Chip or someone that I'm not going to be able to make it, and you guys just have to step
he's
up.
referring to Chip Rogers, who was president and CEO of AAHOA at that particular time. So, so what happened? You finished the chair. You went on vacation with your family, and then they said, "You know what? That's enough. Maybe you should go and run the New Jersey Restaurant Association." After that,
Now that sort of fell in my lap again. Back when I was chairman, we had a advocacy day in Washington where I think we had AAHOA, we had AAHOA, and we had the National Restaurant Association. All three organizations came to Washington at the same time. And I met some of these folks from the Restaurant Association, and I told them we were talking about the same issues. And I said, look, we really don't have anybody represent the hotels in New Jersey. Is there any way maybe you guys can take on hotels as well? Because I see other state associations doing the same thing. And so at that time, the president was Mary Lou Haverstein, and she went back to the board, and the board decided to take on hotels. And so one of the requirements was I would have to be a board member. And so, like I said, that sort of fell into my lap, and it was sort of, well, I'm here to help, and now you're a board member as well. So we got two things. We got hotels, and we got you as a board member. So it was a win-win for the association, I think.
Right.
So where, just real quick, I don't want to keep talking, going back to AAHOA, but where is AAHOA right now? Where how's it doing? How's the membership doing, and how are the owners and the brands, and how is the health of the industry?
I mean, as far as how AAHOA is doing, I think both of you guys were there last week in California, and you saw the great turnout that we had. I think we've got 20,000 members plus. We've got a lot of vendor partners, even with the brands. I think there's a good amount of brands that were at the AAHOA conference. You had Wyndham and Red Roof, Motel 6, and Sonesta, and some of the other brands.
I actually
as well.
Wyndham.
Yeah, once I have to scroll through
yeah.
a bunch of pictures of my cats, but I have one picture that can give us an answer. Now I'm looking at my lasagna that I made the other night, but I do have one photograph. All right, brands that were there: Best Western, Motel 6, Red Roof, Sonesta, Wyndham, Cobblestone, Extended Stay America, HI Hotels, My Place Hotels, also not on this list, but was there. I saw the guys from Magnuson as well, and I'm sure there were others. So they were all there. So,
and there's the proof.
Oh yeah, Best Western.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
you've got them all. You got the CEOs of all the brands.
Yeah, that's Jeff Bellotti, Keith Pierce, George Limbert, our friend Anthony, Julie Arrows Smith, and Larry Kukulik.
Very good, off the top of his head without missing a beat.
I panicked for a second though, but I'm like, I'm going for it. So, Bhavesh, what's your favorite part? I know this year you had family thing going on, so you were unable to make it. And what is typically your favorite part of when you go to any AAHOA event? Is it the meeting with executives? Is it seeing everybody with their families? Is it the authentic cuisine and culture that's part of it? What do you like most?
I think it's the networking, right? Just catching up with friends, seeing the state of the industry across the different states, across the country, seeing how business is in California, or what's different in California versus New Jersey, or what's different in Texas versus New Jersey. And then just catching up and seeing how they're doing, what's new with them. And then the other thing is the trade show again. I mean, I think we have one of the largest trade shows ever. And I think this year was the largest from what I was hearing. And again, just networking with many friends that I've met throughout the course of the years.
So I want to go on to what it's like I want to know what it's like for you running your businesses right now, right? You have hotels, obviously restaurants as well, if you served in that capacity. What is the state of business right now on your development side in the state of New Jersey and anywhere else that you might
And
be
what businesses
looking?
do you have? Like, how many hotels? What hotels? If you don't mind saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question.
So we've got about 7 hotels right now. We sold off a few before COVID, and we sold off a few after COVID. And right now we're just waiting and watching, right? With the environment the way it is, with the rates climbing, we're waiting and watching. Even labor has a big part into this, because it's tough to find labor right now as well. So majority of our properties are in New Jersey. We have a few in Pennsylvania. And then a few in the Midwest, St. Louis market, St. Louis, Illinois market.
And they're all brands.
That area, I think. They're all brands. They're all limited mid-scale brands, like your Hamptons, your Comfort, your Holiday Inn Expresses. We had a couple full service, and we sold them before COVID.
Yeah.
But again, we're moving along. We're waiting and watching. We're being picky about the deals that we do now. As far as new construction is concerned, we haven't done any in the last 5 years. Just because the way the market's been through COVID and just now with interest rates. So we've got a couple sites that we're sitting on, but we'll see how that goes.
Interesting. So I'd love to talk to you a little bit about that, because Bhavesh, one of the things that's so important about this show is to help educate people onto what's going on. So you have land, and presumably you have brand partners should you want to go vertical at any time, right? So what are some of the things, and you have the money because you dispose of these assets and now you have it on the sidelines, you have the land. So everything is ready to go except the state of the economy as far as you're concerned. Could you take us through what some of the factors are currently and what should change that would make you say, all right, we're ready to pull the trigger and get this deal going forward?
Well, some of the sites that we have right now, they're in business centers or business areas. And again, we've seen that business or companies haven't bounced back as far as travel is concerned. Majority of the business is still done via Zoom, and we're lacking business travelers. So our weekday business is off a little bit. I think once that picks up, if it ever goes back to picking up, we'll look at developing those markets again. If not, then maybe we just flip those sites. But again, I think majority depends on business travel coming back. We see a lot of leisure coming back. We see the sports groups. We see the wedding groups. We see the different smaller events coming back. We just haven't seen business throughout the weekdays, which is making an impact on some of the properties we have right now as well.
Yeah. And what do you think of in those areas where you have hotels? People have office buildings, and the office buildings made it through the pandemic because they had those long-term leases. Now those leases are coming up. Hotels, we're transactional every day. We're making money or not making money, but these buildings are bought and sold on leases. So where are you seeing in the areas where you have hotels, the office space situation? Are you seeing it? Are you seeing these buildings being rolled up? What are you seeing?
I mean, right now we're seeing some of these office spaces, maybe 60, 70% occupancy. And again, is that because majority of the businesses are now doing calls via Zoom or Microsoft or whatever it may be? But do I see them coming back? That's going to be hard to determine. Again, environment's changing. The model's changing. So are we going to see them come back? Who knows?
Yeah. One thing, anecdotally speaking, though, is that I'm seeing a lot more pressure being put on workers now to return to businesses. I think Goldman Sachs really started it, and now many major organizations from Disney on downward are looking to get the people back in the office. Some people are saying, hey, forget about it and quitting. But I do think there's a movement back to the workplace, and I think that's going to yield profitability for hoteliers going in the future. But for now, Bhavesh, we're not quite there yet with that, as you just mentioned. So how are you and your sales folks approaching things differently to find that business? Are you still focused on weekend families? Are you still seeing people combine business with leisure activities, particularly at that mid-scale limited service sector?
So we're seeing some of our business is military, so that's been helping a lot as well, and then some have included business as well as leisure. So I think throughout the summertime we're doing fine, but the winter months we were off maybe about 5 to 7%, which again it was because there wasn't much leisure and there wasn't much business travel. So we saw what markets got hit.
So right
from the
now,
prior years.
so where are you with labor? What percentage of your labor do you need back? Like, what's for your company? What percentage of unemployment are you at that you need to get back, or have you transitioned to saying, "Hey, we've cut this, we've moved this, we have different positions, and we've kind of put things together. We shut down the food and beverage, whatever it is, or breakfast." Where are you as far as labor? And are you selling? And are you selling hotels based on not having enough labor?
Right, being that you got rid of all those full service ones.
Well, the full service, I mean, that, like I said, that was before COVID, so that didn't really have much impact on labor at that time. We were fine. I think right now, even with our mid scales, it's hard to find labor in some of the back of the house. Breakfast attendants, it's been tough. Housekeeping, it's been tough. Even the front desk, it's been tough a little bit. What we're doing is some of our managers are just stepping up until we can fill those roles. And I mean, we've got everything out there. I mean, New Jersey, where our minimum wage is over $14. Next year will be at $15. But we're going way above that. We're probably at between $18 to $22 for front desk staff as well.
When you said $14.50, I was like, you're not finding anybody at $14.50.
Yeah, you're not going to find anybody.
Yeah, and you're probably closer to between 20 and 25 because Target and Starbucks, they're eating your lunch because they're paying. There was one Target somewhere in the middle of America, it was $27 an hour.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's hard to compete with the other thing that has hurt Jersey a little bit is the warehouses. We have popped up with warehouses left and right between Amazon, Wayfair, and some of these others. And so, again, a lot of people have migrated to the warehouse industry and have left the hotel industry. And so the other thing was, again, during COVID, you've heard many of times that many have shifted to different professionals.
Right.
And so that has hurt us as well. What we're trying to do in our industry is to reinvent the industry, right? And so we're working with the Cradle of Liberty, right? The younger scouts that are still in high school, going into college. And we're slowly trying to develop a program and introduce them into our hospitality program, into hospitality, and see whether it's for them or not. And I think we need to create programs when there's opportunity in high schools or even some of these colleges, whether they're 2-year colleges or whatever it may be. I think we need to educate and bring in more programs to bring more people back into our industry, whether it's hotels, restaurants, whatever it may be, anything to do with hospitality.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And the other thing I'm thinking about is I started asking this question of owners just like you when I was at AAHOA last week. If you've been without X amount of people for so long, at some point it's just permanent and you've been getting by. Do you just say, forget about it? And a couple of these owners are like, yeah, we've just pretty much given up hiring at all for certain jobs, because even if we get someone to say that they're going to come in, they don't even come in for an interview at this point. So are you adjusting your business model to deal with that reality? You said reinventing hospitality. How are you thinking about these jobs that may just never, ever get filled in your business and what to do about them operationally?
Again, I mean, that's something that we're looking at, like housekeeping that we hire. We're looking to see if they can do housekeeping as well as maybe front desk, or they do front desk as well as breakfast attendant. We're training them in different departments to fill the void. I mean, wherever we can find them, that's what we're doing. because again, it's very tough on labor. Sometimes we just have to leave our room sitting, even if the occupancy's there. We don't have enough employees to clean those rooms, so they're just sitting. So we're losing revenue on one end too.
Oh, yeah. Anthony, when you're dealing with union hotels, I remember one of the issues from back in the day was people had to have a specific job. Do you think that's still the case in a lot of union jurisdictions? And if so, how does that affect stuff?
Well, in New York, there are job combinations. So there's one hotel that in the restaurant there was a busboy, waiter, hostess, and they combined the job and paid them more money. Front desk, bellman, doorman, front desk agent combined the jobs and gave them more money. So there has been combination jobs, whether it be union or non-union, but I think that's kind of what's happening in non-union jobs as well. There's combination jobs, whereas before, like there's only certain, like you said, managers have to step up. But the manager you were paying $50,000 for, you can't pay $50,000 anymore. They're getting 75, 80, 90, 100 working at Amazon as a supervisor or whatever job it is. So, and plus they're going to burn out and they're like going to get sick and tired. They're going to look over the fence. They're going to say, oh my God, I can go and make X amount. The wages that kids out of college are making and entry-level managers are making six figures when we got out of college, we were making six figures. We'd be rich.
Well, we were making six figures. It's just it was .00 or two of them at the
No,
time.
we were making six figures. We combined 10 years together.
Yeah.
My first job out of the military, in the military, I was making $14,000 a year. Out of the military, and this is 1990, I was making $23,000 a year. And then my big break became night manager at the Plaza Hotel, where I was making $26,000 a year.
Nice.
So yeah, a little bit different.
You. Yeah, my first job out of college that was industry related was $18,000 a year. So that's exciting. Bhavesh, I'm excited because I've nearly doubled my income in that time. So
wow, that's fantastic. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, people don't believe me when I said in 1984 I was working at Dunkin' Donuts. I think we were making $2.25 an hour, but the interest rates for hotels, the interest rates for mortgages was 18%. And people don't believe me. I said, go back and look at mortgage rates rates in 1984. So you're making $2 an hour and your mortgage payment is, it's 18%. It's crazy. Anyway, people think kids today say it's hard. I think it's always been challenging.
There's always, I think there's different sets of challenges that each generation usually is able to rise to and meet.
Yeah, I like the people that were born in 1900 that lived through the Depression, World War I, World War II, the plague. I think they, those people. When you see these people and they say, well, that person's cantankerous. Well, if you've been through what they've been through, you'd be a little pissed off too.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Right.
I was born in 70, so I pretty much I got a birth lottery there because it was pretty easy. The 90s were one of the best decades ever. It was just.
Well, I was serving my country, Glenn, while you were having an easy life smoking your marijuana.
It wasn't mine. I couldn't afford it at that point, so it wasn't my marijuana. It was other people's.
I was fighting the Great War of Administration in Missouri.
Meanwhile, Bhavesh, before we wrap up here, what do you think is, as for you as an owner, your future ability to be able to continue to build your business, continue to develop new hotels, considering the employment headwinds, the financial headwinds that are out there, and all of that? Because a lot of times when people say no, 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 the real winners are the ones that say yes. How do you see it?
And again, you just got to keep trucking along, right? And so when you see an area that you think is when you see the industry and you see the statistics, that's the time you jump in, whether you look at it from a development standpoint or an acquisition standpoint. All deals, it depends on the underwriting, right? And so that's what you got to look at. As far as growth is concerned for us, we're growing, but we're going to grow at a moderate rate. We don't want to have 100 properties, but we'll keep adding one or two if it makes sense. And that's how we're going to play it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, opportunities. You're going to take the opportunity. And so let me ask you a question.
Exactly.
With what's going on in the industry right now, we've been through a major flux during COVID, and it's been very challenging. But our industry's strong, and we've made it through it, and it's doing in some areas better than it's ever done. What do you think about what's going on? And maybe you can explain a little bit about the fair franchising amendment that's been proposed in New Jersey, and how the brands and AAHOA and all the other associations are dealing with that.
So again, there's a reason why I guess this fair franchising bill has been proposed. I think at the end of the day, the members, the franchisees are just looking and coming out of COVID, and especially in New Jersey, where we didn't get a dollar for our hotels, for our industry. Neighboring states from the ARPA funds got anywhere from $800 to $1,000, whether it's Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York. Jersey didn't get anything. The restaurant side did get a little bit, but as far as hotels, we didn't get anything. So we're still trying to come out of that part too, as far as COVID is concerned. Some people are still having tough times paying their debt. Yeah, last 2 years have been great, but they haven't been fantastic. And so you see, even with the brands nowadays, you see them, I think it's just trying to get you where they can. And I think, look, we enter into a partnership. We know what we're getting into, but that changes every day. You've got new fees. You've got new technology coming on board. You've got new guest expectation coming on board, new breakfast items coming on board. All those things at the end of the day add up. And I think members in New Jersey just got fed up of it, and they want to see where I think they've even approached the brands, and the brands are not moving, right? I think during COVID would have been the best opportunity to reinvent breakfast or some of our other programs, and it didn't get done. Like the airlines reinvented. I think the hotel industry should have reinvented itself as well. It didn't.
What are the key factors of the fair franchising? So people that don't understand what we're talking about, what are the key factors of fair franchising?
I think right now it's rebates, right? The brands are getting rebates from their vendor partners. I think those rebates should be shared with the franchisees and put back into whatever, like if it's a product, should be put back into the product, so the cost of the product is a little bit lower. Royalty points. I think we should get a fair evaluation or a fair rebate on the loyalty points. Any new concept that comes up from the brand, it should just be approved by their franchising committees, the owners committees. I think those were the 3 or 4 different points. I know we had a long list.
I've got a whole list of, just generally speaking, I do have the AAHOA 12 points of fair franchising that I could go through real quick,
right,
which are termination rights and liquidated damages, a best practice approach to that, impact encroachment and cross-brand protection, minimum performance and quality guarantees, quality assurance inspections and guest surveys, vendor exclusivity rebates and affiliated companies and vendors, full transparency of franchisee-funded programs and fees, maintaining and building relationships, dispute resolution, venue and choice of law clauses, franchise sales ethics and practices, proper disclosures, transferability, and sale of franchise system hotel brands. Now, there's an explanation for each one of them, but I didn't want to spend another hour doing that. You can learn more about that probably at AAHOA.com.
And do you think that this is just a way for the hoteliers to say to the brands, hey, we don't really want to do this through legislation, we just want a conversation? Or do you think that the owners really believe that this should be maybe federal, this should be across the board?
So my personal thought is I don't like government interference in my business, right? At the end of the day, it should be me and the partners, whoever they may be. But if you're not getting anywhere, I think this is what it comes to when you have to go out and get legislation to help you succeed in your business. And I think at the end of the day, I hope that the brands and the organizations or the franchisees come to some kind of agreement where it's a win-win for both.
Yeah.
I understand where the brands are coming from. I understand where the owners are coming from. But at the end of the day, it's got to be fair to both.
Yeah.
That's why it's a fair franchising bill, right? So,
And from where I sit, again, being politically incorrect, probably, the brands from when I came up in this business to now, and again, I was sitting on Hotel Impossible for 10 years, and I saw what happened when you pipped out of a hotel and they wound up on their own and they wound up on my show. So I have probably the best perspective of what happens when you don't play fair with the brand. So I think brands have done tremendous for this country, not only for the owners, but for the travelers. And on the other hand, I think sometimes we forget that the people fit the bill of the hotel owners and that these things need to be in proportion. So I see both sides of it.
yeah, I mean, again, I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, the brands are there for who or how the brand's growing. They're growing based on their franchisees. And I think they just need to work with the franchisees where I know what the guest expectation is. And I think we can get to the guest expectation. But when there's credit card mandates and some of these other things that are back of the house that the guests don't even see or the consumer doesn't even see, and it reflects on your bottom line, that's an issue. And I think those are where I think the franchisees are just getting fed up of.
Yeah, and that's the micro thing. And the macro issue is that prices of goods and services and everything continues to go up, and you can only raise prices so much. So you're getting squeezed in the middle, and you're really feeling it from all sides.
I have a solution. Come up with a hotel owner's fee that you charge the brands.
But you see, like you see right now, you see interest rates going up, you see labor costs going up, you see brand rates going up, everything's going up. At the end of the day, there's nothing left. So why are we in business? That's why I'm saying we're being selective, we're being picky. If it makes sense when we underwrite it, we'll do it. If not, it's not worth it.
Right.
Yep. Makes sense. Well, I hope the economic climate works out for you and you get to develop lots of great hotels and continue to create great jobs for future hospitality professionals. Bhavesh, anything else you want to say before we let you go, sir?
No, again, I think we just need to work together. That's all. Like I always say, teamwork makes the dream work. And I think we all work together. I think we can get it done.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. And I will see you at the next event on the road.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Be well.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah. So before we do wrap up, since we are AAHOA themed, Anthony, we both had a chance to be judges with a tech pitch competition. Everyone there was really fantastic. I love seeing all of those new products. And I've actually been talking to a few of the CEOs since then, but kudos to the good folks over at Verde for winning that competition.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, when I actually volunteered to do it, I was just like, okay. And at that moment of the day, I was towards the end of the day. I had other things going on. Yeah. I was a little kind of like, this is going to be 8 of them. This is going to be forever. I was excited about it, but my energy wasn't where it needed to be. I'll tell you something, man. It went quick. It was great. Every single presenter had their stuff together. Every one of those items was something that's usable. Whether it works or doesn't work, I love that pop-up parking app.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. I just think, again, kind of like what we've been talking about for the last 100 years in the industry, nothing works together. And the company that won basically connects a lot of the stuff that you use as an operator onto a system that kind of talks to each other.
Yep. And you're talking about Park Pooler, PARKPOOLR. And the whole idea is if you have a parking lot in a good location that could monetize parking, you could do it through an app and stuff like that at a low cost to get started. We saw EV charging stations. We saw workplace solutions. We saw all sorts of great products. So congratulations to everybody. Even if you weren't winners at that particular event, you were definitely winners to us because keep going.
No, you weren't. You lost. No, just kidding. And it was close. Second place, lost by 3 points.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing how close the whole thing was. And listen, all of us could be winners, but mostly if you download and listen to the No Vacancy Live podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you get your shows, we are there. For some reason, if we're not there, oh, good golly, let us know. He's at Anthony Hotels. I'm at Traveling Glenn. Although I'm not on Twitter anymore, my account seems to have vanished completely, and I can't get in touch with anyone to bring it back to life. So I'm no longer on Twitter. So there you go.
I think that's a good place to be. I use Twitter kind of like I use salt. Almost
That's exactly Yeah, it's exactly
He's
right.
got, I think Elon Musk. I think it's him and three other people we found in the parking lot.
And him, Nick Fuentes. Yeah. So good luck.
Yeah. But a lot of exciting things. I got some exciting announcements to make within the next month or two. I know you've been very, very busy. Besides being busy avoiding me. I think it's very important. I know we're shutting it down right now, but I think it's very important to let people know we've been in our third argument. We had an argument like an old married couple. He was right, I was wrong, even though I think it was the other way around. And now we love each other, and that's what relationships and business relationships are about. We didn't agree on something or whatever, and now we agree on it, and now we love each other more than ever.
More than ever. And I would say just put positive energy and love out into the world, and it will come back to you in aggregate. All right,
how about when you have pissy energy and I have to deal with your pissy? How about when you put pussy energy out and I have to deal with your pissy energy?
That's not fun. Fortunately, I've got a good chemical programming. I don't do too much of that, But
what's good about you is like the next day you're like back to normal.
Yeah. And I really was. It's really weird. I feel things very hard and very quickly, and then
I think that's the only child in you.
It might be. It might be.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think you go to the it's not fair, and then you realize whatever.
Whatever. I've had enough opportunity.
And just so I clear my name here, I did nothing to antagonize this man. It was a third party.
That is correct. He is 100% correct. He is a gentleman and a wonderful human being. Me, I'm okay. All right, everybody. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
And we will see with a real live show tomorrow. Not next week, though, but tomorrow.
What are we doing tomorrow?